All right, guys. Uh, welcome. We are super excited to have you here for our last chance conference call. This call used to be with one of those little Polycom devices in a conference room in our offices, an actual call, and everyone had to call in back in the day. And so one of the great byproducts of the pandemic is that we moved to Zoom. And so we get to actually now give you a presentation and you get to ask questions and it's a little bit more interactive. And we are super excited to have you. I am going to pass the metaphorical mic over to Jeremy, who is going to get us started as I share the deck.
Hi, everybody. Thank you and welcome. My name's Jeremy. I'm the director of the Team for Kids program. This is my 9th marathon with Team for Kids. And they only get better every single year. First off, we have to stop with a moment of gratitude for all of you on this call. On behalf of New York Roadrunners, our youth and community programs, all the kids, the families, the communities around New York City and countrywide, thank you so much for choosing to run the TCS New York City Marathon with Team for Kids. Our youth and community programs don't happen without Team for Kids. This group has raised over $8 million for those programs. You are the reason kids and families and communities are running and being active for free around the city and across the country. So a huge thank you to all of you. You didn't have to fundraise for Team for Kids, or maybe you did to get the entry, but you still chose us anyway, and we appreciate it. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining tonight. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions in advance. That really helps us tailor the presentation and also just lets us know where you guys are still confused, so we can communicate better with you. So we are going to dive right into it. We have a lot to get going, but I just wanted to say a big thank you, and Ashley can tell you some of the ground rules for tonight before we dive in.
Yes, guys, as we mentioned before, please put any of the questions that you have in the Q&A section. If you are asking a question and you see that someone else has already asked it, feel free to upvote it. We are happy to answer any of the questions. If they are relevant to this section that we're in, that is when we want you to ask them. So if you have a question about the finish, please wait until we get to the section about the finish. That way we can answer them. If you ask a question out of turn, it may be sitting in there for a little while, but we will get to answer every single one of your questions. Don't worry. And at the end, we'll also have a Q&A that you can come off of mute and you can ask at the end, but we're pretty sure we're going to get to all of your questions by then. Back to you, Jeremy.
Okay. Can you advance the slide, please? Okay, so tonight we're going to go over all of our race week events. So before next Sunday, there's a ton of things happening in New York City. So we'll touch on those events. We'll talk about the expo. If you don't know what the expo is, listen up. You all must go to it. That is where you're going to collect your bib and all the things you need for race day. So we will see you before Sunday at the expo. Then we'll get into race day logistics. As you know, the TCS New York City Marathon is not as simple as just showing up at the start and running. We do planes, trains, and automobiles to Staten Island to the start. And there's a lot of logistics that go into the event. Team for Kids is a special group, so you have special instructions. So we want to make sure you understand and take advantage of all the perks you get because of your fundraising efforts. And then we'll go into a marathon race course overview and talk about some strategy for taking on the 26.2 miles you'll be running in 2 weeks. So for just under a week and a half. Okay, so for Team for Kids, the first race week event we have next week is our last in-person practice, our Light Up the Night practice. It's Wednesday the 30th. Happens at the Marathon Pavilion, which is already under construction in Central Park. This is the last practice with your team, the coaches. This is usually one of the bigger ones. This is pre-daylight savings, which will happen on Sunday. So it's dark. So we lit it up with some glow sticks and obviously our very bright TFK green. And we'll have some special guests. So if you're from out of town, please join us at this practice. If you're from in town, you haven't come to practice, this is the perfect first one to come to. And if you're always at practice, there's no reason to miss this one. So hopefully we'll see you guys next Wednesday night if you're here. The next race week event is the marathon opening ceremony, so similar to the Olympics. TCS New York City Marathon has an opening ceremony presented by United Airlines. Team for Kids has a delegation in this. You would have already needed to RSVP for it, but if you still are interested in the event and you're not a member of our delegation marching in it, you can go watch it. It's pretty exciting. It has all the countries that are represented by runners, as well as some specialty groups. Youth and community programs are represented. We're represented. Volunteers and other groups are represented. So definitely check out that. There's fireworks. There's a parade. It's a very festive event that happens the Friday evening of race week. Okay. And one of our favorite events, Team for Kids has the Team for Kids breakfast on race week. It's the Saturday before the marathon, 9 a.m. at the pavilion. There is a capacity limit to that space. So this is an RSVP only event. So you would get a ticket if you've already RSVP'd. If you have not RSVP'd, we have a wait list. So please send an RSVP in and get on the wait list. If you have a ticket and you are not attending, let us know so we can take somebody off the wait list. If you have a guest coming who's no longer coming, let us know. We want to have as many TFK participants at the breakfast who want to be there. And that takes us to the expo. And I'm going to pass it off to Lindsay to talk about the TCS New York City Expo.
My favorite thing. Okay, so like it was previously mentioned, everyone has to go to the expo. There is no proxy pickup for your bibs. There's no race day pickup. So everyone needs to go to the expo, but it's also super fun. So you wouldn't want to miss it anyway. It's going to take place at the Jacob K. Javits Convention Center, which is on 11th Avenue and West 36th Street in Manhattan. If you aren't sure how to get there, if you look in our race week guide that was emailed to you, that has transportation information. It's very easily accessible by public transit. So definitely not difficult to get to. And it's going to take place on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week. Thursday and Friday will be 10 to 8, and Saturday will be 9 to 5 because we want you all to go to bed nice and early on Saturday. You do need to select a time slot to pick up your bib. You can do that within your New York Roadrunners account on your dashboard. So if you go to registered events, you'll see the option to select a time slot. There's a drop down. Just keep in mind after you select, it usually takes like 5 to 10 minutes for it to update and save there. So don't freak out if you select it and it doesn't look like it saved. It did. You just need to refresh in, 5 minutes. Okay, so one of your great race week perks is that we have our own booth at the expo for you to pick up your bib. So if you come at a higher volume time, you do not have to wait in the very long general bib pickup lines. You can come right to the TFK booth. It's going to be the third booth on the right as you walk into the bib pickup area. There's also going to be a lot of TFK green, so it's a very hard to miss. You'll get everything that you need for race morning at the TFK booth. So you get your bib, your Start Village bag, and if you selected to pre-check a bag for the finish, you'll also get that there. Like I said, you do need to pick up your own bib. There's no proxy pickup. And you'll need to bring your confirmation form and your photo ID in order to get your bib. All right, so aside from getting your bib, there are a couple of other things that you can do at our booth. We will all be there. So you can definitely just come say hi to us, meet us in person. We love that. That's my favorite part after emailing with everyone for months and months to finally put faces to the names. I absolutely love that. So just come say hi, even if you don't have any questions. But if you have questions, anything that pops up last minute, we're there. We can answer any questions you have. And if it's something super random and not TFK related, we'll be able to tell you exactly who can answer that for you. If you do need to change your transportation, say you said that you had your own transportation and now you don't, or you wanted to change your ferry time for whatever reason, you can definitely talk to us about that at the expo. We may or may not be able to accommodate it depending on the capacity that we have for every option, but we'll definitely do our best. We cannot do that before the expo. So if you email us about it, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do at this point. Your transportation is printed directly on your bib, and the bibs are printed and we don't have them. So unfortunately, if you're emailing us, the answer is going to be come see us at the expo. But I promise, like I said, we'll do our best once we're there. If you qualified for any fundraising prizes, you'll be able to pick those up when you come to pick up your bib. We also will have our TFK store where we'll have merchandise that you can purchase. And if you needed any exchanges for sizes on your singlet that was mailed to you, you can also do that there. And we'll have our wonderful coaches. Okay, so this is something that's a little bit different than other marathons or any other races that you might have run. If you selected to pre-check a bag, which is something you would have already needed to select during the selection period over the summer, you won't be bringing that bag to the start with you. You'll be pre-checking the bag on Friday or Saturday. And you'll have to do that in Central Park. So you'll want to come pick up your bib first. That's a question we get a lot because you do need to have your baggage bag that will be provided for you in order to go check your bag. So come to the expo, then you can head to Central Park. It'll be Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you're going to want to drop off at tent 1. That will ensure that your bag goes to the TFK tent. And you'll also be given a red baggage tag, and that will denote your bag as a TFK bag. So that way, when you finish the race, you'll be able to easily find your bag and get on with your life.
I want to just jump in here. This is super important for you guys to understand. You are special. You're not walking out of the park with the regular people. We have an early turnoff, and we're going to get to the finish in a little bit. You leave the park before the general runners. They have to walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. You're going to get to 72nd Street. We're going to have a ton of people calling you to come this way, take the shortcut. And we're going to take you to our TFK finish tent. If you are planning to come to our TFK finish tent and you're checking a bag, it is so important for you to put this red baggage tag on your bag so they know that it's a charity bag and it does not go to general baggage. If you just drop it off with your number and no tag, it's going to general baggage, and you will be chilly and you will be sad because your bag won't be at our tent, and then we'll have to run around and find it, and we will. But you don't even want to go through that process. So you're going to put your red tag on your bag and you're going to drop it in tent 1 and even say, hey, I'm a charity runner. Show them the tag. The volunteers are trained to know what that tag is. So point it out to them. Just don't leave it to chance, guys. So just make sure you're using the tag, you're dropping it in the right spot to make it a smooth and seamless race day.
Yes, all of that. Okay, if you guys have any questions about the expo, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. But yeah, that's it. It's the best part, guys. It's so fun.
It is fun. And I will hand the baton over to David, who is going to tell us all about the start. I'm sorry, Jeremy, who's going to tell us all about transportation to the start.
Okay, guys. So if you are a TFK runner, you had a special option to pick the TFK ferry to get to the start. The TFK ferry is a private ferry that departs from East 34th Street and the FDR Drive. So you're going to basically go all the way as far east on 34th Street as you can. The boat is going to be in the East River. Once you get to the East River, please stop and look for the boat. Runners who selected this option have been assigned to your ferry based on waves. We have 4 departure times. Our wave 1 runners are on the 5:30 ferry. Wave 2 is on 6:30. Wave 3 is on 7:30. And wave 4 is on our 8 a.m. ferry. Please arrive to the ferry no later than 20 minutes prior to the departure. We leave promptly at the departure time to keep on schedule for race day. All of this information, your ferry departure time and your transportation method will be printed on your bib. So when you get your bib, take a look. If you have questions, come to the info booth and we can help you figure it out. If you selected a different mode of transportation but want to ride the TFK ferry, you're going to pick up your bib and come talk to us at the information booth. If we have capacity, we'll assign you to one of our ferries. These ferries are only for TFK runners. So unfortunately, if you're running with a friend or a family member and they're not TFK, they cannot come on the ferry. And these ferries will take you all the way to Staten Island. It's about a 25-minute ride. From what I'm told, it is a very nice ferry. This is not the Staten Island ferry, guys. This is the Sea Street ferry, and it's fancy. So it's a pretty comfortable ride. There's bathrooms on the boat. Your teammates will be there. Your mentors will be there. You will have some coaches there as well. To get on the ferry, you'll need to show your TFK sticker on your bib. Just think of your bib as your ticket for race morning. Basically, everywhere you go, you're going to need to show your bib to prove that you're running the race and to get to your TFK perks. So there's going to be a green TFK sticker on the bottom right of everybody's, or bottom left of everybody's bib. And you're going to show that to get onto the ferry. You're going to show it again to get into our start tent. The only bag allowed on the ferry is the clear Start Village bag. Don't do a bag within a bag. You cannot throw a backpack into that bag. First of all, it doesn't make sense. Second of all, you can't do it. They need to see all the contents of that bag. Someone asked previously, what would you put in there? People have a bottle of water, Gatorade, nutrition that they want before the race, the nutrition that they're going to tuck into their fuel belt and run with, the fuel belt, anything, armbands, whatever you're going to want to wear for the race, but you're not going to have totally on your person as you head to the start. Some people bring phone chargers, but be aware that these bags will not be transported to the finish. So if you bring this bag to the start, it stays at the start forever. You never see it again. If there's something you desperately want in the bag, you're going to have to carry it while you run. Once you get off of the ferry, we are going to have TFK mentors, staff, and coaches on the other side with you with TFK signs. They're going to lead you to the buses. They're going to ride the buses with you, and you're going to keep following that mentor with the sign all the way through security and to the TFK start tent in the Pink Village. So the good news is once you get on the ferry, you really don't have to do much thinking. Just follow all of the green in front of you.
Perfect.
As I
Now
mentioned,
I'm going to hand it over to David.
Oh, well, one more thing. There's
Okay.
bathrooms on the ferry.
Yes.
There should be bathrooms before the buses. But if you really have to go, I recommend the ferry. They didn't get delivered last year. I was told they will be delivered this year. But again, leave nothing to chance. And any questions about transportation, please come and talk to us at the expo booth. This is the single biggest X factor of race morning. We want you to know what your transportation method is and want you to feel comfortable with it. And I really need to stress, you must take the transportation option you selected and it's printed on your bib. This is not just you running a marathon. This is you and 53,000+ friends. We rely on the runners to do what they say they're going to do to make sure everybody has a seat and everyone has a smooth morning. So we really need you to take the transportation that you've selected and you've been assigned to on race day.
That's you, David.
Okay. So I'll skip to the next slide for 1 second. All right. So as Jeremy was mentioning, if you are taking the Team for Kids ferry, there will be staff and coaches along the way helping guide you. They'll have signs. If you are not taking the Team for Kids ferry, don't worry. There are multiple options that you had to choose from. Once you get to the start village, there will be 3 main entrances. You can see them there. Each one will have security screening along with more volunteers to help, staff and volunteers to help direct you along the way. So whichever entry or transportation method you did select, just follow the signs and instructions as you are getting to the start village. Okay. Once you're in the start village, the Team for Kids tent is located in the pink area. It actually might be easier to talk through the map for a second. Okay, so once you're in the start village, the Team for Kids tent is in the pink village. This is the special area reserved just for our team this year. In general, the start tent is divided into 3 areas. There's pink, orange, and blue. All all runners will be able to access any area of the start village. However, TFK runners only will be able to access the start tent. So this is the special perk that we have for our fundraising members this year. So if you have friends who fundraised in the past with us or fundraised for a different event, they are, of course, not welcome to come into the tent. However, our runners can roam about anywhere else in the start village. There's some open zones, blue can go to orange and so forth, but do be mindful of your time. There will be announcements in multiple languages to help you make sure you're on schedule. There are also some features that are outside the TFK tent that are welcome to all the runners. These are notably our interfaith services, there's some quiet zones, and then some therapy dogs, again, outside of the TFK tent. So once we're inside the TFK tent, then you have all the cool perks and amenities that I can go through on the previous slide. Sorry. Okay. So once you get to the tent, we do need to scan your bib when you enter and exit. This is to help us monitor foot traffic and to ensure we have the right amount of amenities for our team. You can come and go as you please. It's just every time you enter the tent, you'll need to be scanned in one more time. If you're taking the Team for Kids ferry, coaches will be along with you with the signs and leading you straight there. Inside the Team for Kids tent, we will have coffee, water, hot chocolate, bagels, tea, some fruit, um, some light amenities. We do recommend, however, if you have any specific dietary needs or preferences or your specific pre-race routine and nutrition, please bring that with you. There's no Starbucks or local groceries or anything at the Start Village. There is plenty of Dunkin' Donuts coffee if that is something you like. I love it out in there all morning. But again, if you have any specific nutritional needs, those are the items that you should bring with you in the bag that you receive at the expo. That is the only bag that you can bring with you to the Start Village. Two primary things that go into that bag are anything you'd like to have before the race. Say it can be a little bit cooler, even if it's a warm day, it might be a little bit chilly waiting around. So a light sweater or pair of pants or something to sit on as well. Because there are no chairs in the tent, it's more of like an open floor. So something dry to sit on would be helpful. Anything you bring with you to the start, either you are running with it, so that would be your fuel, your water bottle, your headphones, your phone, anything like that, or you are leaving it behind. So any clothing you need just to stay warm will be donated. There'll be donation bins inside our tent throughout the Start Village, even along the course. Again, anything you bring with you to the start, either you are leaving it behind or you are bringing it with you. Weather in the last couple years have been on the warmer side. However, it will be temperature controlled. In recent years, we'll have a large indoor tent with the food, the announcements, our lights, our speakers, and then there's like an outdoor space, which again, depending on the weather, it's really cool to hang out. If we go to the next slide, we also have our coaches leading warm-ups for each of our waves. So all of our runners will be seated through waves 1 through 4. Before each wave, they'll lead a warm-up. There'll be announcements again inside the tent. We'll do a sweep outside the tent as well to make sure everyone's on time. So once the coaches will lead the warm-up, they'll bring all the runners from our start tent to their corrals. Not to worry if you're running late. We specifically time their exit from our corral, from our start village to the corral to ensure you have enough time to use the restrooms to get in the corrals on time for your start. Again, a general rule for all runners, you are allowed to move back if you wish to a later start. Let's say I'm in wave 1 and Ashley's in wave 2. I can move back. That's totally fine. No formal changes are needed. You don't need to send an email. You just willingly move back. Runners cannot, however, move forward. You can move back as far as you like. You just cannot move forward to either an earlier wave or an earlier corral. A note on changing corrals, while you don't need to formally change dropping back, let's say A to B or 1 to 2, that might impact your transportation. And at this point, it is very limited in what we can offer. Again, at this time, if you do need to change your transportation, your best bet will be to contact us or speak to us at the expo when you're picking up your bib.
And let me just flag, if you choose to drop back, but cannot get a later assignment, you still need to take the earlier transportation. We are partnering with you to make race day good for everybody. Transportation changes are not something that's going to be widely available at the expo. Most options are totally full. If you want to ride the ferry, we can do our best to help you, assuming we have capacity, but we really are counting on you to take the transportation option you're assigned to. Even if you want to run later, you guys don't need to worry about it. You have a cozy tent to come into. So if you're on an earlier transportation mode than you would have liked, you'll be fine. You're going to be inside a tent. You're going to have amenities. You're going to have your team. The time will go by faster than you think. I don't think any runner has ever overestimated how early they need to be there.
One of the common questions regarding transportation and the timing of your wave, let's say I'm in wave 1, I don't start till 9:10. Why am I on a 5:30 bus? It doesn't take, the morning goes by quickly and you want extra time. You're never going to be sitting around waiting, oh geez, how come I can't start yet? You don't want to be scrambling, getting there, getting to the start late and then rushing into the corrals. We want to have enough time for you to be relaxed, use the restrooms multiple times, address your pre-race nutrition, and get to the start as comfortable and relaxed, as calm as possible. And it's a little more complicated than like a local neighborhood 5K where the parking lot is the bib pickup and the bag check and the start line. This is you and 50,000 of your new best friends trying to get to the same place. So because of that, we try to have people lined up on time, on schedule for their specific start. Another feature, not specific to TFK, but offered throughout the start village, the course, and the finish, will be lactation tents. More information can be found both online and at a booth at the TCS New York City Marathon Expo. And with that, toss it over.
Really
Any
quick, I'm
questions?
putting a question out to our coaches who go into the corrals. Somebody asked there are bathrooms in the corrals. I'm 99.99999% sure there are bathrooms. But before I say it, can a coach who's more regularly in the corrals confirm it for me, please? Maybe Coach Ben, bathrooms in the corrals?
Just pee your pants. It works that way too. No,
That's
not
an
the appropriate
option.
answer. Is that the appropriate answer? Or no, the appropriate answer is actually there are actually physical porta potties in there. They obviously going to be a Sierra Wave 1. They're going to be well used by them. But yeah, there are plenty of porta potties in there. Yeah, if you do plan to do that, try to get in the crowd early, get in line, because obviously they do queue up pretty good. But yeah, one last pit stop before you make your way across the bridge is always a good thing. And hi everybody, I made it.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. And that brings us to our next section, the finish, which is me. So our finish tent is located on West 72nd Street between Central Park West and Columbus Avenue. Like Jeremy mentioned, it's a fantastic benefit that we are able to offer you guys. You don't have to do the whole big walk off. After you cross the finish line, you'll go through the finish, you'll get your medal, your recovery bag, and your post-race poncho. Unlike in years past, every single person gets a post-race poncho, even if you have selected baggage. You'll still get your poncho. TFK runners do exit the park early. As you approach the poncho distribution and as you get your food bag, look for a TFK catcher kind of towards the left side of the finish chute. They'll be all over. There'll be, depending on if it's warm, either over their volunteer jackets or with their volunteer jackets tied around their waist. They'll likely be having a big sign that they hold up that says TFK, or if someone that seems possibly random but has a credential asks you if you're a TFK runner, even if you've reached the point where you don't have words, guess what? Our volunteers are trained to look for you. You do not have to have your TFK singlet on. It really helps, but as long as you have that TFK on the side of your bib, our volunteers will be able to find you and they will be able to escort you up. So if someone asks to see your bib, if your poncho is closed and you know you're a TFK runner, please feel free to open it up. That way our volunteers can confirm that you are in fact a TFK runner with us this year, and they will escort you up towards 72nd Street to our finish line area. And TFK tent is in a frozen zone. Friends and family will not be allowed to meet you at the tent. You will be able to exit the TFK finish tent area at West 72nd Street and Columbus Avenue. And on the next slide is a map of where it is. So you can
But
see.
very, very importantly,
Yes.
you should not have friends and family lining up to greet you there. If too many people crowd there,
Right.
that is one of our ambulance emergency exits. If too many people crowd there, they will be requested and made to leave that area. So when you're choosing a place to meet up with friends and family, do not try to meet them right at the end of the street. You need to move away from the park a little bit more. I'm sure Ashley will get into it, but do not instruct your friends and family to meet you right at that corner because it is an emergency exit for our ambulances.
Jeremy's right. I absolutely have tried to meet friends and family by this area. I live in the neighborhood. It is not worth it trying to meet up with your family there. Pick a block or two, an avenue or two further away, Amsterdam or Broadway, and pick a block or two or three up. What I would highly recommend is take a look at Google Maps, or if you happen to be staying in the neighborhood, look around, find a spot that you can find a marquee or something. There is a Pioneer grocery store on 74th and Columbus. Pick something that way your friends and family will know to meet you there, and all you have to do is visually find the thing that you know you're supposed to find. Because much like when you're at a concert or a music festival, we can't guarantee that the cell service is going to be there and be very good near the finish line. So just make sure, and part of your race day plan, that you meet up with them. Your friends and family will be alerted when you cross the finish line and when you leave our area. They will be alerted that you have left the park, that you have left their finish area. They will kind of have a general idea. If you do. So these are the maps. The maps will be included in your quick guide that you'll be getting when you get your bib. We'll also have these maps, and if you have any further questions, David or myself and other MYR staff members will be at the TFK information booth. We've done this 100 times before, telling people what to do. We are happy to help you. If you just don't know the city and just don't trust Google Maps, we'll be happy to help you figure something out. Runners who do not exit the TFK finish area, because as Jeremy mentioned before, I believe, only, much like at the start, only TFK runners are allowed to use our early exit. So if you are running with someone that did not fundraise with TFK for this year, even if they're wearing a TFK singlet, but if they did not fundraise with us for this year, they will not be allowed to enter into our area. You will have to show your bib, you'll have to walk past the scanner, and you will have to pick a different place for them to meet up after the race. But if you do decide to not use our TFK early exit, you will have to go down to the family reunion and walk the rest of the way with everyone else. Family reunion will be located on Central Park West between West 63rd Street and 65th Street. And there will be screening points for entry for friends and family on Columbus Avenue. It'll be open from 12 to 6, but we highly, highly, highly recommend that you use our area and exit kind of with the plan that I mentioned before, because we have about 2,300 expected TFK runners. There are about 50,000 people in this race. So your best bet to be able to find your family after is exiting through our area and picking a spot that you have. As I mentioned, it's going to be extremely crowded. And once you leave the TFK finish line area, or if you are in the actual finish, in the regular finish shoot on Central Park West, once you leave, you won't be able to enter again. So make sure you make a plan with your friends and family, and you will be able to find them after. That brings us to questions. And at the finish tent, sorry, I just saw that pop in. Jeremy's going to answer it on text, but at the finish tent, we will have some snacks, we will have water, we will have some Gatorade, we will have chairs, which is great. We will have a couple of changing tents. There will also be a medical tent near ours in case we need any medical attention. There are bathrooms near our finish tent, and we will also have our own specific TFK baggage that you guys are going to beautifully drop off in Central Park on the designated days that we talked about before, and we will have it right next to you. And our volunteers will be able to grab your baggage for you and bring it to you. This is a question Nope, Lindsay's answering questions about the grandstands. Again, if you guys have questions, feel free to take a look at the Q&A. Even if you think you have a question, someone else might have asked it before.
Yeah, and I think a rule of thumb, a lot of people are talking about how long to get out, how long to meet. It's going to be kind of long.
Yeah.
And cell service is pretty saturated, so your cell phones don't always work or work the way you want them to, and it's going to be extraordinarily crowded. I think if I could give you one piece of finished advice, it's to never try to meet someone in family reunion. Pick a spot before the race, like Ashley said, a couple avenues over, a couple blocks north, away from the race. The closer to the race and the closer to family reunion, the more people, the harder it'll be to find people. Once you start moving away from the park, it thins out, it gets easier. If you're at a hotel that's pretty close, I would say just meet them back at the hotel. You don't want to be anywhere near family reunion. Finding someone there is like a needle in the haystack situation. I mean, it could take, to get from our tent to the family reunion area, it's not a long walk at all, but actually finding people is pretty low. Ashley, Maddie is asking where it is. Can you go back to the finished map? I would just try to avoid it as much as possible. So
The pink
if you look at
section.
the map that's on your left, we are the Green Star on 72nd Street. Family reunion begins at 66th Street. It's not a long walk down there. It's a crowded walk, and it gets a lot more crowded once you get to that area.
Perfect. And Lindsay's answering the question, but just to say it out loud, everywhere where there's dark blue is the frozen zone. So your friends and family are not going to be allowed into there to meet up with you. And the tent is on West 72nd Street with this beautiful green star that I have placed courtesy of Microsoft PowerPoint. So I am going to hand the virtual baton over to Coach Ben, and we have Coach Ben and Coach Dorothy, Coach Glenn, Coach Drew,
Coach Angela.
anything else?
Yeah, Coach Angela. Come on.
I think that's who we have. We have these wonderful coaches, so take it away,
Coach
Ben.
Angela.
And Coach
Coach Angela's
Angela.
here.
Thank you, Coach
Come
Angela. I
on.
knew there was
I didn't
one
have my green shirt. We put some work in last night. She was not ready to wear it now.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for everyone for being here. This is the last chance. But again, you're 10 days out. We are 10 days from an amazing journey through 5 boroughs. Want to give a shout out to all of our coaches. And actually, we'll start with Angela because I see you on the screen. Angela, how many times have you run this beautiful race?
I have run New York City 3 times, 3 consecutive years, and this is my first year not running it, and I'm so sad. I'm so jealous.
I mean, it's a pretty special moment. I mean, 3 years. I mean, you probably have memories from each one, so it's probably safe to say that you don't want to let any of those moments slide by for sure. And I think Glenn's on the call too. Glenn, I think you run this race ever since it first started in like 1642, right? I don't know.
Yeah, it was all dirt at that point. You had to watch out for the horses. It was, and they didn't have the Verrazano Bridge, so it made it a lot tougher because you had to swim across.
That was the old days of the duathlon, the swim, then the run. Yes, I remember that. So
now this is my 17th year doing it with Team for Kids, and then I ran it as a civilian before that. So, a lot of experience and seen and heard it all almost, I think. But then something always educates me each year. That's why we come back, right, Ben?
Runners, that they always bring something new, and it's a huge new running population. I mean, I don't think we have it on this slide here, but of the 50,000 plus people that are doing the marathon this year, 67% of those runners are making their TCS New York City Marathon debut. That's 2 out of every 3 runners. This is the first time they've run this race. So lots of information to share, a lot of you out there. I know, Dorothy, you've run this race a few thousand times, and you're back running it this year for the first time in a while, right?
I am. The last time I ran it was 2017, and then I became a coach on the course. I'm excited to come back and run it again. I have run every color wave, so I think they're all spectacular and have everything that you want.
Absolutely love it. So he had to run the race again this year. And then Drew, I know you're coming up and you've run, I mean, all of our coaches have run numerous races, but Drew, I know this year has been a special year for you because you got to finish a lot of things on a checklist. But what draws you back to New York? I don't know. Are you running New York this year?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is 25 or 26 for me. I've been running Team for Kids since 2007. And the only year I missed was 18 because I had to have lung surgery, but I was a catcher that year.
Amazing. And we also have Coach Drew on the call as well. We have so many Drews here. We have Drew Swiss, we have Coach Drew, and Coach Drew, welcome to the chat wherever you may be. I think I'm scrolling over to, there you are, Coach Drew. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I've done New York 4 times. I am not running this year, but I'll be out there on the course between miles 20 and 21. So you can kind of see it right there on the map on where I'll be.
And that
We get the
last
fun part of the course.
bridge.
We get the fun part of the course, Coach Drew. We're like, why am I doing this? Why did I think it's a good idea to run a marathon? But we're going to do it. But yeah, there is your course, everybody. There is what you get to go through from miles 1 all the way through. And then you got the next slide coming up, shows the people getting off the start line. Yeah, 50,000 people. Again, and I will preach it here, and I think any coach will tell you that, but probably don't go out too fast. One of the great perks of TFK is you get to be on a lot of different waves of people around you, maybe at varying levels, but really it's your race. As Coach Sid would say, your race, your pace. Enjoy it while you're out there, folks. A little bit different view than I have here, but hey, you know what? This is the view you're going to get across the Verrazano Bridge. Dorothy, haven't run this race since 2017, but you're going across the bridge. You want to stop and look at everything, right?
Of course, it's a spectacular view. You're not permitted to be up there except for during this race. So take your time going over the first mile. Just warm up nice and easy.
And what is unique about the first mile of this course? It's our highest point of the whole course. So if you're giving a runner advice, how should that first mile feel?
Easy breezy. Just glide into it. You got plenty of race to run.
Plenty of race for sure. You got 26 miles to get your time, folks. Enjoy that view up and over the bridge. Okay, Glenn, you are a Brooklyn. You're from Brooklyn, so I think it's only appropriate that we come to Coach Glenn on this one. Is it unique that we have, I was talking to someone earlier, we have 50,000 people doing this race. There are 5 waves. So let's just do some quick math. That's 10,000 people per wave. And we have you separated out on course. And 4th Ave is a great part of the course, Glenn. So talk about what runners should expect here on 4th Ave as they make their way up to BAM and the 3 courses become one.
Yeah. Well, actually, you're seeing one of the landmarks that you'll be able to see from far. When I was younger, that was the tallest building in Brooklyn. I don't believe now with downtown area being built up that it still is. So you can use that to kind of get a sense of when the waves are going to merge. But it makes me just think of one thing to tell you guys, which is we're running side by side, but each color, the course is measured individually and have differences. And every year when I'm out there, I do see runners crossing over from orange to the pink to the blue. You may be adding distance on by doing that. Stay in your lane until they all merge. That's really important. And the other part that I just want to say here, this is one of the best parts of the race to just really zone out. It's flat in Brooklyn, heading towards your merge. You still have plenty of room to just get in your zone and settle into your pace. And you have, as you can see there, you have plenty of room around you on the roads.
You only get credit for 26.2 miles, folks. The medal doesn't say 27 or 27 and a half. You get 26.2 to get what you do. So take it through there. Nutrition, I'll cover this one real quick. You will have water and Gatorade at every mile from 3 to 25, with the exception of miles 5, 7, and 9. So when you hit mile 4, make sure you get water if you need it, because your next chance is not going to be until mile 6. I do have some people that I know that actually will carry extra hydration with them, maybe a small handheld bottle that they're going to discard somewhere on course up until mile 9 to ensure they have hydration when they need it, if they need it more often. But when you do come to the aid stations, Gatorade will be first. It will be the ever popular endurance formula lemon lime. Water will be second. They're about a block long, so don't think you have to go to the first table to get your hydration as you go through. So grab the cup, pinch it a little bit so the water or Gatorade doesn't slosh out. Take down what you need. if you can do your best shot and get it into the bucket or the basket on the way out, I think the Liberty or the Knicks may sign you, because the Liberty is doing great. They won a championship. The Knicks need all the help they can get, folks. But try to pick up your trash, do the best you can. Our volunteers are out there. Make sure you thank those volunteers as well. And then science and sport gels will be at miles 12 and 18. If you've been training with it, grab a couple extra ones. If you haven't, stick with what you know. You don't want to have any GI issues up on Manhattan, and definitely as your way you go through there. Next slide, please.
Ben, can I just mention
Yeah.
one
Oh,
thing
go ahead,
about
Dorothy.
before the merger? The first year I ran this race, I didn't realize that my family in Brooklyn, if you're in the orange and they're standing on a certain side, that I couldn't cross and see my family. So it's important, if you know what color you are, to let your family know what side of the road they should be in. And if they're in pink, there's a little area in Brooklyn that they may miss you if they're where the blue and orange is.
Yeah. Get them up on 4th Ave. We'll see everybody. But next slide. All righty. Angela, where are you? Talk about 5th Avenue. It's probably your favorite part of the course, right?
It sure is. There are two places in this race that I say, and I told my runners this last night, if anyone was there, this race becomes more mental than physical in two parts. For me, it's the Queensboro Bridge, and it's right here. This is where you need to tell yourself you trained for this. You worked for 16, 18, 20 weeks to get to this point. Your body can do it. Listen to your body, but your body can do it. You need to start telling yourself with your brain that you are so close to the finish line. And the crowd here is electric. I recommend to a lot of people, if you're wearing headphones at this point, take them out, be in the moment, enjoy what the city is giving back to you for all the hard work you put in. And then you will come down 5th Avenue, make that turn. And it is true what you hear about there being a hill. But that's why I say it's mind over matter here. All you should be telling yourself is, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this.
Because once you get up and over that, you got 2.2 miles to go. And this is what awaits Drew. I know you've crossed, Coach Drew, make sure I Coach Drew. You have crossed in numerous finish lines. I think you just crossed off state number 50 this past year. You have done many things. But again, talk about the finish of the New York City Marathon. It's a special moment. So kind of go into that.
It's amazing. You've trained, you've been spending all this time doing the work, doing the fundraising on top of the training. It's a lot. And as you get to this point, you realize how many people were supporting you to get to this moment and how much work you put in. It is a moment of pure pride. You are going to feel all the emotions. Do not look down at your watch. Do not look down at all. Look up. You want to make sure you get a nice little photo finish of you being so proud and happy. Cry if you want to cry, laugh if you want to laugh. We're there for you to celebrate this big moment, because it is quite an accomplishment. You all should be very, very proud.
Yeah, I think it's pretty true, Drew. It's never easy to get to this point. I mean, as coaches, we have spent the last 12, 16, 20 weeks working with an amazing group of runners in person at our in-person practices and workouts. And to be able to, be in this moment when they cross the finish line, even if you're not, that their journey, this was part of it. It doesn't necessarily end here. I mean, you've done amazing work, but I think any coach on here, and I'll give each one of you kind of a moment here to kind of talk about the finish line. So I think, Glenn, you're off of mute. So you've crossed the finish line or two in your lifetime, and you've been coaching for 17 years with TFK. And so you've supported thousands of runners out there getting to this point of their marathon journey.
You keep making me feel old here.
Hey, someone's got to be. I'm tired. I'm the great beard over here.
Yeah, now the finish line and New York's finish line is absolutely very, very, very special. I mean, and I just want to go back to something Drew said, because it's really important. Look at the picture that's on the screen now, and look at the people who are crossing the finish line with him, and say, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be that person with the hands up that you're going to have that memory forever? Or do you want to be one of those people whose arm is looking down at their wrist? As I just said, it's one of the most spectacular finishes. You feel so good that you've made this, that, the race in itself is a party for your accomplishments that you've done, which is 5-6 months of training. So you want to celebrate that by having a great photo too. So I think Drew hit on it. I'm even coming back to it because it really is important. Get that great finish line photo, soak it all in, and you'll be there soon. You'll be there real soon.
And Dorothy, I know you've crossed several finish lines between 2017 and what you're going to be hopefully crossing here on November 3rd. What are you looking forward to coming back to New York after a 7-year hiatus?
I've crossed this finish line in daylight. I've crossed this finish line at nighttime. It is just magical either way. The first time I was like, oh yeah, I'm tough. I'm gonna get there, and I crossed and I cried. It was just 20 weeks of buildup, and it was just the most amazing cry I ever had. So it's overwhelmingly positive.
And Angela, you're missing it this year, unfortunately. I'm sure you're shedding a small tear about that, but you've done it 3 times. It's hard because again, we talk about the FOMO. You don't want the fear of missing out, but you get to see it from their side. You've been coaching with TFK this season, and you've worked so amazingly with the group that you've been with all season long. I'm sure you're waiting for those stories to come through, right?
I can't wait to hear the stories. I feel like Coach Dorothy just said she cried, and I'm literally sitting here like, yes, yes, yes. My first marathon, if this is your first marathon, like, if you feel like you're going to cry at the end, please cry. And then tell us all about it. Like, it is the most emotional, beautiful moment. Like, look up, take it in, look around you. But I can't wait to hear the stories. Everyone will feel something different every single mile of this race. That is how you should feel. You shouldn't just run the whole 26.2 miles and be like, la, 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 la. So just stay cognizant of what you're feeling, how you're feeling, how this day made you feel. It just makes the experience so cool. And then, yeah, tell us all about it, because that's what we love to hear.
Yeah, it really, to my coaches, the mentors, to the TFK staff that's on this call, it does take a village to make this day happen. To the NYR events team, everybody works here at the organization. I mean, we wait for this finish line. It's open till 10 p.m. People will always be out there waiting for you. 72nd Street and the TFK tenant is going to be there to really make sure you have everything that you need. Ashley, is there another slide after this one, or is this our congratulations? This is where our soiree is heading out. We have more questions. I don't even know.
And it's like you read my mind. I
There we
will
go.
say, one thing I do want to call out, somebody astutely noticed that we went from mile 8 to mile 22. Don't worry. There will be wonderful coaches like Coach Ben, like Coach Glenn, like Coach Dorothy. I'm not sure exactly which coaches will be at the core strategy sessions, but there will be multiple core strategy sessions at the expo every single day.
Every hour on the hour, we're there. We'll have Spanish as well. Spanish will be held on Thursday and Friday at noon and Saturday at 11. But every hour on the hour, we will have Coach Gemma, Coach Steve, myself, Coach Roberto up on stage. When you come get your bib, I know there'll be a coach at the TFK booth. Back actually where our core strategies will be, we'll have pace bands, and our pace team will be there as well. So if you want to get that, our coaches will be back there as well. So after you see everybody at TFK get your bib, make sure you take your bib home with you. That's the most important part. We found some bibs back in our area a few times. Cruise through the New Balance store if you want to check out all the cool swag. Come see us in the running lab. We will be doing core strategies. We do a much more in-depth 40-minute or so presentation. But again, it's Ashley, it's almost time. I can't believe it. We have 10 days. Are you ready? I'm not ready yet, but we're gonna go there anyway. So
you guys are the ones that are really amazing. We are just here to support you, but you guys are the ones that are going to be running the 26.2. So we're so proud of all the hard work that you guys have put in all season long, and how much money you've raised for our youth and community programs. It's really the biggest accomplishment. Now you get to actually just go do the run. So if you guys have any other questions, we had about 66 questions that were asked and answered. Feel free to go through them, take a look. We'll be sending you the most salient ones, along with a link of this recording as well. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. If you like, a few of us staff will be staying on after we stop the recording. If there are any questions that are not about transportation, you can also email us at teamforkids@nyr.org. Questions about transportation, as our team mentioned, can be answered at the expo, where we'll be happy to give you the information. So with that being said, I don't see any more questions coming in the chat, except for Chad saying thank you very much. I am going to take the restrictions off of the actual chat so you guys can say goodbye to each other, and I'm going to stop the recording, and we can't wait to see you next week.